So it's a miserable day outside. It's Sunday morning. You want to just lay around the house, have a cup of tea, read the paper, maybe make a nice lunch, but no, you've got to go to the mall and buy some clothes or something for the kids. So you trundle off to this mall and you start walking into stores and you get that whole, oh hi, if I can help you, just give me a yell, or staff members who just smile and say hi and they leave you to your own devices. If you ask customers what they want, they'll say, oh, I don't want to be disturbed. I want to be left to my own devices. I want to have time. I don't want pushy salespeople. I also want the best price. I want to have the best value. And they say all these things that they think they mean, but they don't mean that. If you're that customer in that situation with these kids on a Sunday morning, you want to probably get in there and out of there as quickly as possible, and sure, not spend a fortune, but you want to make this as efficient as possible, especially before the kids start going feral. The problem is we listen to the customer. If you ask that customer, they will say those other things, but what they really mean is, I want to buy something. When they come into your store, they want to buy. But we as customer service people say, well, I don't want to be too pushy because that's what they've told us. And I know when I go into a store, I don't want to be pushed around. Well, it does ignore the fact that the customer wants to buy. So help them buy. So how do we usually get around this? Well, we start things like surveys, and we survey the customers and they'll tell us those things that they think are real, but they say those things from their conscious mind. Like, that makes sense. That's logical to say, I want not to be pushed around, I want to be given time, and I want to pay the best price. All that makes sense. But subconsciously, they're actually thinking, and emotionally, they're thinking, I just want to get out of there as quick as I can. What we also do then is we start to layer on top of these surveys. So we might be getting some bad data from the surveys, and then we whack on another bad layer, which is social media. So we go to social media sites and we look at our Facebook reviews and our TripAdvisors or whatever it is, or our Yelp, and we start reading these reports. Now, the problem with the reports is, and I'm not saying they're all bad, they give you a good pulse, but you can't diagnose from them. And you have problems with timescales. Let me explain. Those reports tend to be either very superficial, in that it's just someone saying, I'd never go back there again because I had a terrible experience and whatever. And as a store owner or as an owner of a business, you start taking those things to heart. Oh my God, the world's falling down. The sky's falling down. The other problem you have with them is you can get fanboys and girls who just always love the brand and only speak positively of it. They also aren't necessarily excellent pieces of information that you need to acquire, because you need the stuff in between. And the stuff in between, when you get it, it's very scant. There's not much data to it. There's not much detail. So you can't diagnose down and say, oh, we've got a problem with this particular part of our operation, or we've got a problem with upsell and cross-sell. A customer will never ever say to you, oh gee, I wish I would have got upsold more stuff. Oh gee, I wish they would have closed the sale quicker. They'll never ever tell you that. So you have to be careful, because you're never going to get that sort of input, which is the stuff that you really need. The other problem with these types of surveys and social media is that they're occasional. They just happen here and there and whenever. You can't control when that stuff happens. So again, you have to be careful, because you can't build trends. And you can't go to a store and say, hey, you got a bad review. And then the store says, well, what do you mean I got a bad review? How do I know that that person wasn't a competitor? How do I know that that person wasn't a family member who was annoyed or something, or someone's girlfriend's boyfriend or whatever that just had some personal gripe with us? You'd never know if you're getting the actual truth. So you don't know if you're getting the truth because there's something else going on with the customer, and you don't know if you're getting the truth because the customer's not going to tell you the truth. Unintentionally, but they're not going to tell you the truth. That's why it's important to put into place disciplines like your mystery shopping surveys, like ongoing surveys to customers in an environment where you can control them. That's why it's important to get out there and talk to customers. That's why it's important to go out there and do some market research and ask people who are even not your customers what's going on. But you can't just depend on your customer themselves to willy-nilly, flippantly decide, oh, I'll give you some information today or I won't give you some information today. So remember, customers lie. They don't do it intentionally, but they still lie nonetheless. Don't build your business on a lie.